Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Real Estate Marketing and Coffee. I'm your host, Ed Troxel, with my lovely co-host,
Amanda Candelius.
And we are here every Monday morning, kicking off your work week, hopefully your day. Some of you already got a head start, so that's good. We're just rolling with it. And if this is your first time joining, welcome. Even if you're watching the replay, be sure to say hello in the comments below. This is a mini series where we just like to share both of our worlds. Amanda, give them a quick little synopsis of your world, and then I'll share a little bit about mine before we dive into today's topic.
Sure, yeah. So I'm the director of the client care division here at Closer Pros. And really what we do is we take that same model of third-party transaction coordinating and we apply it to the client care side. So anything in that client nurture and follow-up realm, we handle. So birthday cards, staying in touch with your sphere, kind of really helping you solidify those already met relationships that you have so that you can keep them for life.
Yeah. And I come from the digital marketing side of things, helping with specifically the video marketing aspect. So helping you really start and grow your connections online using social media, using video, the TikToks, the Reels, the lives, which is what we love doing here. Yes. And so Amanda and I met a while back when we created a workshop called Just Listed, where we work with you for an hour and a half doing a workshop around video marketing and client care services and bringing our worlds together. And that's how this series became what it is today and where we're at.
And shameless plug, we have that workshop coming up again next Tuesday, December 7th. So if you haven't signed up, we can drop a link somewhere.
Yes. I will drop that link right now in there.
Look,
if
he's
you're
so great. This is why he's the digital marketer. Look, he knows all these things. I'm like, there will be a link.
Yeah, you just have to show up. That's the beauty. That's what I do with my clients. They just have to show up. I do all the other stuff for them.
It's so great. I love it because this is not my lane of expertise. So that's why I love partnering with people like Ed, because I've learned so much just about video marketing and live video just in the short time that him and I have gotten to connect on it. So
yeah,
super cool.
Yes.
And tons that we get to talk about in our workshop about it. So highly recommend.
Yes, definitely. And you will walk away in that workshop, by the way, you do walk away with actual action steps that you can take. It's not just information, like video is great or client care services are great. No, you actually walk away with strategic action plan steps. So that way you can start implementing right away. So today we're going to be talking about the one conversation you should be having with your brokerage, whether you're new and you're looking or you're already with them and you're trying to really stand out a little bit. This is something that came up with, or the topic came up from a podcast I listened to. I don't know. How do you listen to podcasts, Amanda? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
All the time. Most of the podcasts I listen to, full disclosure, are true crime, but I do listen to quite a few.
Okay. Well, those who are tuning in, if you listen to a podcast, let us know what podcast you're into. Bonus points if you share the actual name of the podcast, because
this will be fun.
Yeah, podcasts are so important because you get so much education from just podcasts, whether it's true crimes or real estate related, or video or marketing or anything. And everyone's always trying to find, their next podcast. It's kind of like a book club. Everyone's always trying to find the next book to read. And when it comes to the podcast, I was listening to an episode from the Smart Agents podcast, which is a fantastic podcast. If anybody has not seen that one or heard that one, I will drop the link in the comments for you. Put that, and I put in episode 66 because episode 66 is actually the one that gave me the idea for this topic here, because one of the agents that the host interviewed was talking about how she brands herself, building her personal brand. Right? It's one of those things that when we're all our own personal brand, we just need to really start to pay attention to that more and to really run with it, because no matter where we hang our hats, where we're working currently and see ourselves for the future, there's going to be some kind of change at some point. and we want to prepare ourselves as much as possible. And building your personal brand online is huge, no matter what industry you're in. And so that's what she was talking about in this episode. And I loved the one question that she had talked about asking your brokerage if you are restricted to their branding or if you have some flexibility. And so, Amanda, you and I kind of started to talk about this. Let's just have an open conversation about that. We started talking right before the show about this. But
no, I think this is what I was telling Ed, is I think this is such an important topic because, first of all, you know, us in the real estate world, we don't want to go to real estate jail. Like, that's like, we all joke about it all the time, you know, like we make sure our contracts are in order so that we don't go to real estate jail. We don't want those hefty fines. And this is a big one. This co-branding idea is huge because each state has their own guidelines. And then there's the general realtor guidelines that we follow. And I think it's so important because this is what I was telling Ed, is I think sometimes newer agents who are making a name for themselves, they land heavily with their brokerage and co-mingling their marketing, which is great. I'm not knocking that at all.
Yeah.
And sometimes on the opposite end, you know, more established agents or teams do the opposite, where they're co-branding with their market center or brokerage are few and far between, right? It's bare minimum to meet the guidelines. And I think there's wins in it on both ways. But I think talking about a way to really brand yourself is so vital, even outside of the real estate industry, because you're what goes with you, brokerage to brokerage, sale to sale, deal to deal, you know, all of that encompassing, you're what goes with it, and you are the brand. And so in thinking about what is your brand and how can you co-brand that in conjunction with your market center, and how can you brand yourself in such a way, I think is huge, because it's, you know, online presence is everything today.
It is. It really is. And I know, like, everyone probably has at least their website or is part of the brokerage website, which is great. But you do need to have that social presence, whether you love social media or hate it or don't have time for it. You obviously know you need to have it. And it's not just needing to have it, but also making sure your information's updated. You know, I've worked with some agents where they are literally so busy that they don't make the time to update their social profiles. And that's not good because, one, your information's outdated, but two, you're not keeping up with the current technology and you're going to be left behind. So even just something as simple as updating your bio, making sure your link is up to date. I will say, I always stress the link situation, because whether you're on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you have a spot to put a link, please double check that link, one, that it works, and two, it goes to where you want people to find you. I cannot tell you how many times I click on a link and it's either broken or or
it just takes you, like, for example, if I was trying to sign up for a workshop and it just took me to your homepage, like, cool, I'm close.
Right.
But now you've added a deterrent for me buying your services. Like, if I'm like, hey, I really want to coach with Ed and his video marketing, like, and it just takes me to your About Me page.
Right.
So cool, it landed on the right spot. But now I have to go and find your pricing package or your sign up package. And now you're adding all these extra steps for me that you might have just had me. 2 clicks and you've got my money, right?
Yes.
And now you've added this barrier. So yes, this is a big pet peeve of mine.
It's so important. It's such a simple thing, but it's really, really important. And I'll tell you too, agents who have a profile on a brokerage website, and so that's your quote website, that's fine. But also understand, we're talking about personal branding and making sure that you do have links to your social. Again, you have to add more of yourself into everything that you're doing these days, both online and in person. You know, if you're door knocking, that's you. Like, there was a conversation the other day online about door knocking, which I think we'll have a bigger conversation around that for another episode. But tying that in here is that the debate was, you know, is it still necessary? And the comments were really, really fascinating, because a lot I'd say probably let's say maybe 70% were saying no because you have your social. But of course, then the others were saying, but it's so personal and
Yep.
it's amazing because you get to meet people and have conversations with them. And I'm reading it and I'm just thinking, one, I'm not a door knocker, let alone I'm not in answering the door if I don't know you're coming
Yep.
over. So there's that. And then you throw in, all the other things going on around in the world, and it's just like, no, the door's not opening, right?
Yep.
But I can see where those who have had success talk
Mhm.
about it, and it was very interesting because if you take what's in real life, the door knocking,
Mm.
and if that's that personal connection, and it's harder for people to say no to you, when you're
Yep.
in person and all of that, think about it. That's the same thing that happens
Yep.
online with social media. It's just a different door that you're knocking on. And it's just going to have a little different strategy, but it's the same
Yeah.
idea when you actually can have conversations with people.
I love this so much because one of the first agents I ever worked for hated cold calling, hated it with a fiery passion, like most real estate, actually, like most humans. Most humans hate cold calling. So
Yep.
here's my lean in moment. If you didn't know that, everybody hates it. Like, you're not alone. And I loved that he formed his entire marketing strategy around what he was good at, which was that face to face. And so anytime we could record video for him, we did it because we knew when we got him face to face, he was a former police officer. And so people had that natural trust factor, retired police officer, and he had that calming, when he would talk, people would be calm. And so we leveraged that with door knocking for him because it was they just trusted him.
Yeah.
And we started sending or adding videos to everything. It was all over our website. It was all in our email drip campaigns because it was all over, like anywhere we had text, we had a video to back it up for the most part, like about us. There was a video on our website that was, hey, here's who we are as a team. Here's what we do, so that you can have that personal engagement, because that's what they buy into. So I love what you're saying here because it's just such a different way of thinking, but it's so important because that's how we receive 99% of our information these days, is by video or that face to face. So
Yeah.
leveraging that is so important in the tech world today.
Oh, it's so crazy. I mean, here I always just like to throw out stats there just because it's important to pay
Yeah.
attention to
Data.
those numbers. Is that 80% of an audience would rather watch a live video from a brand than reading a blog. 82% prefer live video from a brand to social posts. So just regular posting. You also have, after watching a video, 64% of people are more likely to buy a product online. And then Cisco had predicted that 82% of all internet traffic will be video based in 2022, which is literally a little over
Next month.
a month. Yeah. It was like a month and a couple
Like
days, maybe.
32 days, everybody.
Yeah. And so the reason why we talk about video and why it's so important and why I do what I do,
Yeah.
is that, again, it brings that human connection
Mhm.
to the online world. And I love that you were saying that with that client of yours, bringing video as much as possible
Mhm.
to every step of the customer journey.
Yeah.
And that's something that I want all of you tuning in to make note of. You don't have to feel that overwhelm of, oh my gosh, I got to be on video. Now I got to add
Yep.
video here and there and there. Like, feel that overwhelm for a second and then push it to the side
Yep.
and understand that you got to start where you are,
Yep.
and you got to start with at least one video for one location, and then it's going to start to snowball,
Yeah.
because that's what happens if that's really what you're going to be consistent with,
Yep.
and understand that you will get better over time with that,
And
and it
that's
doesn't
that
have to
key
be perfect.
word, that consistency word. You know how I feel about this.
Yes.
This is what I tell everyone. When you start to feel that overwhelm, because I had this happen recently. I was talking to an agent who had an entire plan for her client care world for 2022. And then she talked to me and she was like, okay, I feel like I need to pivot this now, because she realized she was putting a lot of money into marketing efforts that might not have any
Mhm.
return on investment. She was
Yeah.
wanting to send like 4 postcards a month, instead of calling her people. And I'm like, okay, let's hypothetically say you send it to 500 people. You're probably dropping 2 to 3 grand. Why wouldn't you leverage someone like me to actually hand
Yes.
call your people? Or even more than me, why don't you pay for drip campaigns? Or why don't you like save that 3 grand?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Because that's a lot.
it's a lot of money. But anyway, she got so overwhelmed because then it was like, I need to redo everything. And I'm like, why don't we start small? Let's start with one thing. One
Yes.
thing that you can consistently commit to. And so there's 2 words in that: consistency, because that's key, and then commitment. You have to be willing
Yes.
to commit to it. But when you can commit to this, that's when the consistency becomes easier, right? And that's when you start to see that traction. Like Ed's saying, you get better. And then the branding element becomes a byproduct of it, right? Because you start doing what you like to do more often. So I always tell people this is like my number one thing when designing drip campaigns of any kind or any kind of touch for your clients or the customer experience is just this: be authentic to you. Because if it's
Yes.
not authentic to you, people are going to feel that, especially if they're your people and they know it. Like if Ed was doing something so off the wall, super serious, suit and tie, it wouldn't feel like him. And
Yeah.
it's not that Ed's not professional. It's Ed is a lot more easygoing. So I'm going to feel that difference, and it's not going to feel authentic to him, and I'm going to pick up on it. So having those
So true.
authentic touches and inserting them all over your website and social platforms and wherever, start small. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't get in your head about it. Just do one thing. I'm going to do one live video a month. I'm going to do one live video a week. I'm going to do one
Yes.
video in my email drip campaigns. Like it doesn't, there's only one way to eat an elephant. That's one bite at a time. And I am infamous for thinking I can eat the whole elephant in one sitting myself, but that's not real life. And you'll end up way more discouraged than you will encouraged by doing it that way. So
Yes. And that is the whole thing when it comes to marketing and just running your business. Like you really want to take those small steps. And I will say, adding video wherever you can is so important. And I just actually updated my website recently to do an overhaul. And it has been awesome because I've been able to slowly, even though I'm like ready to go and want to add more and more, I was able to slowly go through and add video to certain pages
yeah.
throughout the site so that there's more of an experience there. So it's more of an actual like,
Yep.
welcome. How can I help guide you through your journey here type thing versus here's another website.
Well, how can I relationally connect with you? Because I'm
Yes.
someone I very much am a prefer video over reading text type person,
Yeah.
mostly because I am a very high D on the disc scale, if you're familiar with it. And I like to make stuff happen really quick, and I move fast, and I do a lot at once. And so
Yeah.
I like that I can listen to Ed tell me about his business and check my email or look at my calendar. And so I only do that if I'm not in a space. I only read the text if I'm not in a space where I can listen to the video. And so why wouldn't you want to make that more relational
Mhm.
for
It's
the customer so that, like we've been talking about, they click on your website and they have no choice but to work with you because they're so bought into you already, in the same way that door knocking has that effect. We're just
yes.
opening different doors here, like Ed said, but this is even making me think about our Closer Pro site. And so I'm gonna, like, I'll live time process. I'm
Oh yeah.
thinking bare minimum, if we just added 2 videos, it would make a huge difference on our website.
Oh,
Like, who is
100%.
Closer Pros? And then for me personally, like, what is client care? Like, why wouldn't I want those videos on our website so that if someone was like,
Yes.
what's client care? They would hear me right away, and then they'd be like, I want to call this girl. Oh, there it
Yes,
is. Here's our
there it
moment.
is. Yep. And that's the thing. I love that you're already thinking about that and already
Yeah.
using that as a real example for those tuning in. Here's the thing. I started with just one video on, I'm pretty sure it was just one on my homepage. And I can't tell you how many people had reached out to tell me that they liked that video, that it helped them get a better
Yeah.
understanding. Like they got to see and hear and feel my energy. Like that's something that you can't, unless you're a
Mhm.
really, really good copywriter, which
Yep.
I am not, and most people I know are not.
Yep.
Um, you can't do that through your copy, and if you do, it's going to be very lengthy. And again, people aren't going to read it the whole thing through. So having that video is going to be huge, and being
Yeah.
able to add it wherever you can. So whether it's your website or that link in your bio over on Instagram, there's ways to do it. And
Well, and
the
this
point
even makes
is,
me think about how we've been talking about branding yourself.
yes,
And anyone who's listened to any of our other videos, Ed always says, use video in such a way that you can repurpose it. So don't just, I'm creating one video that's an about us for my website. Like, put it on your website, put it on Facebook, leverage it in advertisements. Like, there's so
yeah,
many things you can do with just one video. Like, I'm even thinking we could have a Closer Pros YouTube page, and on it, it can have just our 2 videos right now. But like, here, like, we can repurpose these things that thus brand us further
right. And
as
that's
just
the
that.
beauty.
Mhm.
That's the beauty of it. You're able to do this. Here's the thing. You can go shoot a Facebook Live right now or Instagram, wherever you guys are showing up. But we'll just say, Amanda, you can go shoot a Facebook Live right now with the idea of it being for your homepage video.
Yep.
And then you can take that video from your Facebook Live
Mhm.
and put that on your website. Boom, there's your homepage video.
Yep.
And then you can put it wherever else you want, YouTube and whatnot. Like,
Yep.
that's the beauty of having a video strategy and understanding that
Yeah.
one video can work so much harder for you than you would ever need to do by yourself.
Well, and I'm even thinking, like, for me specifically, because the hardest issue I have in client care is getting people to understand the difference between being a client care coordinator and an inside sales agent. Because they hear
Ah,
client follow-up and they instantly think leads, right?
yeah,
And for me, I'm not cold calling on your behalf. I'm connecting with your people that you've already closed with or that you're friends and family with so that you can focus on the leads, right? So
yeah,
I'm providing that leverage in your business. And I have the hardest time until I can get you on the phone. Why wouldn't I put that on my website? Here's the difference. Here's who I am. And then here's a great thing that I can repurpose is then if it's on YouTube, then I can share that with people. Hey,
yes,
you're curious, watch this video before we chat, right? And I buy
yes,
my time back. I don't have to
yes,
have the same conversation 10 million times because now I have a video and I can leverage it as a resource, which is a huge value of mine personally. I want to be a resource to my people. I want to come from service and contribution. And so this is so good. And here's why it's super important too. Tying it all back in
yeah,
is, should you leave brokerages? This is a big thing that happens in the real estate world. Should you leave brokerages? You get to take these things with you. So even if your videos say, hey, it's Amanda with Keller Williams, and then tomorrow I'm with Century 21, your videos are still a part of you,
right.
right? And so you don't have to start all over every time that you move brokerages, because if
Yeah,
you're branding yourself, that stays, and really just a little bit about your marketing effort changes.
yeah, and you could easily, okay, if you guys all want a hot tip right now, I don't know why I said hot
Lean
tip.
in. This is a
Maybe,
lean in moment.
yeah, maybe because I was holding the coffee. I don't know, but here's a hot tip for you. So lean in when
We don't want
you,
any cold tips, just hot ones.
yeah, when you are recording your video and you say, "Hi, I'm Amanda with Keller Williams."
Mhm.
Go slow.
Yep.
Don't go fast. Don't say, "Hi, I'm Amanda with Keller Williams. How are you today?"
Yep.
Or whatever you're saying. "Hey, I'm Amanda with Keller Williams." Like, it doesn't have to be that slow, but slow it down. Do you know why, Amanda? I always like to ask before I give away all
I'm
the
thinking so that you
details.
can do a voiceover or cut that piece out or something.
So you can edit that piece if
Yeah.
you really need to later. Let me tell you, it is so easy, whether
Mhm.
it's you who is experienced with video editing or you hire someone to
Yep.
help with the video editing, it doesn't matter. It's so easy when you can have that breath in between
Yeah.
your words. And again, it's all part of the strategy. Like, this is what I teach clients is that it's not just about creating the video. It's not just about going live. You have to know before you do it what
Yep.
that strategy looks like and plan ahead. And part of that is knowing that in your case, if you're doing a welcome video,
Mhm.
if you're going to specifically call things out, like your brokerage, that's fine, but understand that you want to make sure that you have those
Mhm.
buffers, if you will, so
Yeah.
that you could just edit that out because chances are later you won't mind reshooting because you'll be comfortable and ready, but at the
Yeah.
beginning, You're probably not. You're probably just
Mhm.
gonna say,
One and
"No,
done.
that was good. I'm good. Bye."
Yep.
So you have to put in those buffers ahead of time and know that that's something that you can do,
Mhm.
and it will help
Well,
so
and a
much.
few other things that you can do too, or you can have like an opening slide. Like there's so many free services out there where you could put in like it's Amanda with Keller Williams
Yes.
presenting real estate marketing and coffee. And that be your
Yes.
opening and slide. And then when it cues to video, it's, hey guys, it's Amanda joining you, whatever, right? So then if I
Yep.
ever change brokerages, I just change the slide, right? The video can stay the same. I mean, I'll have to re-upload it to YouTube so you'll lose views or whatever, but to me, those aren't super important.
Right.
Um, or you can just say, like, if you're on a team or you're just a solo agent who's building a team, maybe it's the Candelius real estate team, I
Mhm.
can just say that versus saying my brokerage. At least in
Yes.
in in most of the states that I've worked in, I can say Amanda with the Candelius real estate team. I don't have to include in that brokerage piece if it's on video.
Right. Well,
And
and that
so,
that ties back into that one question that we brought up at the beginning
yep.
here is asking your brokerage, or at least researching with your brokerage or the one that you're thinking about
Mhm.
going with, what is that branding component? Like, what are
Yep.
you required to do, and what's being really restricted for you?
Yeah.
And what are your options? Because again, there's a lot of things changing because of
Mhm.
technology. And when it comes to real estate, I mean, thankfully there's a lot changing now, but there's
Yeah.
still parts of it where it's very, in my opinion, it's very structured and
Yep.
old school in certain areas. And that can be very hard. And
Mhm.
again, we're trying to get you caught up and stay current with trends so that
Yep.
you can really future proof your business versus being left behind
Mhm.
and scrambling all the time, because you need all the tech you
Yep.
can get that's going to help support you.
Yeah, for sure. And this makes me think of another point when we talk about branding too, and this is another one that I'm really big on, is
Yeah.
making sure it's true to your mission, vision, and values. So whatever you're trying to achieve in all of your video marketing and all of your branding, everything should match what your goal is. So for Closer Pros, that's three things: service, support, and growth. And in every video we do and in every post we post, those are our three objectives. Are we coming from service? Are we helping agents and our team members grow? And are we supporting people and helping them with that piece of their business and leverage? So those things are so vital to our business. And so anytime if we go live, like that's the frame of reference we're thinking through. Is this true to our mission, vision, values? Is it true to who we are as a company? And if you can get those pieces in too, it helps your overall brand. It syncs it up real easy.
Yeah, and it goes back to that strategy and knowing before you do the video
Mhm.
what your goals are, what you're trying to communicate.
Yeah.
Don't get caught up with, I got to
Numbers.
have 1,000 followers, I got to get a million views, I got to go viral. Because what does that mean to you? Like, what
Yep.
is that actually going to translate to you? For most people, nothing. To be honest, like especially when
Honestly,
it
it
goes
makes
from
me think of, like, the weight loss journey, right? Like,
yeah,
if I say, "Hey, I wanna run a 5-minute mile," if that's my goal, but I'm not consistently running for it, cool, I can go out there and sprint my little booty off, and I might
right,
hit the 5-minute mile, who knows? Probably not, but let's say I did. What is that gonna do for me? The goal should be that consistency, right?
yeah,
Followers aside, that consistency, because if I keep working out every day, that's where I'm gonna see the results I wanna see, not and
yes,
those little sparks of energy. So it shouldn't be, I need 1,000 followers because that's going to sustain my business. It should be, I need to build up a brand because that's what's going to sustain my business.
yeah. And going if you're stuck on the follower count, because this is a big one that a lot of people come around with. If you're stuck on that follower count, don't just be stuck on I need to get 1,000
Mhm.
followers. If that's where you're currently at, I want you to expand that and make a better goal of engaging with those
Mhm.
followers, having real conversations with
Yep.
those followers. And think of that door knocking situation that we brought
Mhm.
up at the beginning. That's where that goal really takes form and comes to life,
Yeah.
because now there's an actual two-way conversation happening versus
Mhm.
just click, I got
Yep.
1,000 followers. Like that It doesn't
Well, and
matter
I'm always
because
shocked when businesses respond to me. It makes me feel weirdly special, and I know that nothing's happening, but, like, if I post it on yours and you write back like, "Yeah, what's your video marketing strategy?"
right.
Like, people naturally wanna talk about themselves or, like, we're communal beings, so leverage that to your advantage.
And understand too that you can have as many followers as you want, but here's another lean in moment. I know we're coming up close on time, so here's another lean in moment. You can have all the followers you want.
Mhm.
It still doesn't mean that they're going to see,
Yep.
hear, or connect with you because one, there's the algorithms,
Mhm.
but two, more importantly, there's options for them to unsee your stuff. They can
Yep.
ignore you. They can still be connected to you, but not see your
Yep.
stuff. So don't rely on getting a followers because you automatically think they're going to see everything you put
Mhm.
out there, or at least half of what you put out there, because you don't know what their personal preference are. And
Yep.
so that's why it's important to have conversations, not just
Yep.
numbers.
Love it. So good.
Woo! So that's what we had for you today.
I think it's great. I love it so much. This is such an important topic.
It is, and I'll have for next week, unless something big comes up. I'll have next week our topic be around door knocking because there's a great
Okay.
conversation that I found online with some really good questions that someone had posted
Okay.
as well. So that will help with some conversation pieces
I
and
love it.
talk about that. So if you guys are tuning in next week, next Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific, during the live broadcast, that would be awesome. If you have questions or whatever, you'll see the post on Facebook or Instagram, or sorry, Facebook or LinkedIn. I'll try to
Yep.
get something up on Instagram. We can't stream live to Instagram uh, unless it's a whole different tech situation. So anyway, you got us on Facebook and LinkedIn and possibly on YouTube for repurposing purposes. Look at that, repurposing purposes.
Repurposing purposes. I like it. That's good.
So on that note, we will let you all go. If you have any questions or you need help in client care services, reach out to Amanda. If you need help with your video marketing, reach out to me anytime. You can find us on social and we'll be happy to point you in the right direction and get you the resources and solutions
Yep.
that you need. All right. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next week at 8 a.m. Bye-bye.